Welcome to Too Fond of Books. I'm Janelle, and today I'm going to do a book review of Rachel Rhys's Dangerous Crossing. This is from 2017, and I was really interested in this book. The premise sounded so good, and I was all for it. Historical mystery, I was all in. So, Dangerous Crossing, set in 1939, where we follow Lily Shepherd, who boards a ship in England that is traveling to Australia. And she's going over with this scheme that was developed for women, domestic servants, to go over and find jobs, and I guess their part or all of their passage was covered as long as they stayed in Australia for 2 years. And so the time period intrigued me. This cover is gorgeous, and the descriptions on the book also really piqued my interest. Thrilling, seductive, and utterly absorbing. Paula Hawkins. On the back, it's a Richard and Judy Book Club pick for 2017. Ruth Ware says it's a gorgeously atmospheric read, prepare to be transported. Lisa Jewell says an exquisite story of love, murder, adventure, and dark secrets. So I was all in for this book. But right from the beginning, the very first line too sucked me in. 4th September 1939, Sydney, Australia. Sandwiched between two policemen, the woman descends the gangplank of the ship. So right away, I'm in. What happened? What did she do? Who is this woman? Why was she arrested? What happened on that ship? I was all for it. The first thing that distracted me was the tense. This book is written in present tense, and I found that really distracting, especially at the beginning, because it's written in like it's happening right now, and for some reason I just found that so distracting. But as I continued to read, I realized that part of what was so distracting to me was that present tense is often used by authors to give a sense of immediacy to the story, but nothing really happens. Like, there's no tension, the plot plods along, nothing really happens, and because they're stuck on a ship, they can't go anywhere really either. There are a few day trips they take off the ship, but like the whole purpose of having that immediacy with the present tense was not used at all, I didn't think, by the author. It's also third person limited, so the very first, like the prologue of the book is from this reporter's, you're in this reporter's head on the quay when the ship is landing in Australia, and then the rest of the book you're in Lily Shepherd's head. And so which would be fine, except that Lily Shepherd was not a likable character. So she's supposed to be the protagonist. I just didn't like her very much. She wasn't a very interesting character. She was actually quite unlikable. She was weak and cowardly. She was easily led by others. I didn't understand a lot of the decisions that she made. Now, I understand that this is 1939. I understand that she's only 25. But I just did not really like Lily Shepherd at all. I also didn't really like any of the other characters either. There were a couple that had potential, but we really didn't get enough of them to gain any kind of real appreciation for their character. So this book, there was a lot about class in this book. There was a lot of xenophobia in this book. Themes of running away and secrets and misunderstandings. The treatment of a character called Mariah, who is, she's Jewish, and Lily sort of befriends her, but I think really that was there to show off how the ship is a microcosm of the wider society and how Jewish people were treated, especially by like British citizens before the war, before, you know, yeah, so pre-war. So Lily is throughout the book weak and easily led, and there's something that happens with Maria, and Lily won't stand up and tell the truth because she's worried about her reputation and she's worried about getting a job once they land in Australia. But then suddenly, at the very end of the book, for no reason, there was no description of how she changed, suddenly she stands up and gains her courage, and that wasn't believable to me at all. Now, you might be wondering about this. The other thing than the tense that I found immediately distracting in this book was the writing. The very first page in the prologue, the author uses the phrase "as if" 3 times, and this is half a page of writing. And so I started marking it down in my notebook every time she used the phrase "as if." Here's the proof. I marked it down. Now this book is 351 pages long, and the author used the phrase "as if" 208 times. It drove me crazy. And aside from that, or along with that, these tabs are similes. Yeah. She used similes so many times in this book, and they weren't even really very good. And the problem too was that she sometimes had really good metaphors, but they were completely lost in this sea of pretty bad similes. So ultimately, I was really disappointed with this book. It had an interesting premise. I was into it going in, but ultimately was so disappointed in this book. I don't understand the ratings that it gets on Goodreads. It has an average rating of 3.73, and that's almost 5,000 ratings. That comes from almost 5,000 ratings. I just don't understand that. So yeah, I gave it a 2. It could have been really good, but I was ultimately very disappointed in this book. So, has this ever happened to you when you're reading a story? Is there something about the writing that so distracts you that it pulls you out of the story? Which is exactly what happened to me in this book. I'd love to hear about it if that's happened to you. Let me know down in the comments. Thanks, and I'll see you again soon.